guys, how's it going? Today we're going to do some planting. We're going to focus mostly on getting our pumpkins and squash seed in. And we're out here on the new property. That's where those are going to go. And then we're going to head over to the cut flower garden and some other flower bed areas to plant some ground cover. So this is what we've got to work with today. We've got two different varieties of thyme. This one, this is the Nutmeg creeping thyme. When I bought these, so I think it was late March, I loved the color of the leaves. I loved that they had a little bit of a bronze note. I'm not seeing that now, so it just must be like new growth. But they kind of have a deeper green bronze look, but oh, the blooms are so beautiful. I think I've got 2, 4, 6, 7 of those to plant. And then we've got some pink Chintz creeping thyme, which has a very soft kind of sagey green. Clearly hasn't started to bloom yet, and these blooms will be a lighter pink. And then we've got one variety of Foxglove that I'm going to get planted in the cut flower garden. And we have 20 different varieties of squash and pumpkin. One variety of gourd, I think. The spinning gourd. Nope, Tennessee dancing gourd. Anyway, I already made all my tags. I decided to do that before we even got out here so that I didn't have to try to be making tags once I was all dirty. Which tag have you got there? Oh, Speckled Hound. And this is where they're all going. Out on the new property right after the tomatoes. We just got done planting these, got all the water run to them. In fact, we're going to be tapping into the same water line here, but I'm planning on putting 10 mounds here and 10 over here. So I'm going to be reworking this row because Aaron was telling me, well, you can see the drip tape is all squirrely anyway. This is where corn and sunflowers are going to go, but he said that when he's turned the water on to these rows, it took it about 10 minutes to reach the very end. That's such a long run, 250 feet. So I think just even eliminating this much will be helpful. And what I'll do is tee off of this line, bring over a 1/2 inch black poly and run it straight down. And then we'll do individual emitters for each hill of pumpkins we put in. Benjamin's got some fairy garden pieces. You're gonna build a fairy, oh, with pumpkins, that's perfect.
Yeah, I got pumpkins. Says it's pumpkin day.
That makes total sense. Pumpkin day. I'm gonna line all of these up so we can go over variety before they're in the powder dirt. Maybe we can pop a picture up on the screen for our gourd, our one variety of gourd here. We've got Tennessee dancing, and they're just these sweet little, it reminds me of the gourds that I gold leafed and used in some projects for the holidays. So I was going to try to plant some of those seeds, but I think this is the same one, and these are way newer seeds, so I think we'll have more success. And for winter squash, I've got 2 different varieties of butternut. We have Butterscotch, which are a little bit of a bigger one, and then Honeynut, which are smaller, and they are so good. I'm so excited for those. We've got sweetmeat squash, which are amazing storage winter squash. And then I think the rest of these are pumpkins. They fall in the pumpkin category. We've got flat stacker, which are flat white. We've got Snowball, which are kind of a medium white size pumpkin, or white colored pumpkin. We've got Autumn Frost, which is a really beautiful tan color. Igor pumpkin, Cinderella, Big Max. I'm hoping for some big carving pumpkins. Autumn Crown. Speckled Hound has a really beautiful, like, kind of corally pink and sage green color palette. We've got Howden, and I'm actually doing 2 mounds of Howdens because I've had such good luck with those as just kind of standard jack-o'-lantern type pumpkins. I am going to plant 1 hill of Atlantic Giant just for fun. I don't think they're pretty pumpkins. I just think they're interesting. And I'm not going to do any special treatment to it to try to get bigger pumpkins. I'm not going to shade them. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm just going to plant these and treat them like the rest of them and see what happens. We've got Connecticut Fields, which kind of falls in this category, you know, the Howden and the Big Max sort of classic pumpkin look. Jack B. Littles, the little orange ones, Porcelain Doll. We have pie pumpkins right here, and then Midnight, which are a deep blue. Super excited about that. So before I plant, I've got to get the water situation handled. So that's what we're going to work on first. All right guys, I got the irrigation all rerouted, the tags out, the seeds out, so now we are ready to plant. So you can see the supply line right here. I just tapped into that with a T-coupler and swung a new line over here, and the drip tape now ends right here instead of going all the way down to the end. It's about 90 feet from where I stand to the end of the row. So we'll space the 10, I've spaced the 10 hills out, I think fairly evenly. On one of the ends, I put the Jack B. Littles. That one tends to stay a little bit more compact. So I'm going to tuck one extra in of that on the very end. So we'll have 11 on one row, 10 on the other. So this is just a rough estimate, but I did about 7 feet between each start of the new hill. So each one of these is going to have plenty of space to grow. I think probably the most amount of space I've ever given them. And there's about, I want to say a little over 10 feet this way as well, from line to line. So it should work out great. So if we come down here, let me show you where I ended it. So I made sure that my line was long enough to go past where Aaron stopped tilling, which you can see right here. That's the one thing about the tractor tiller. If you're going to need to use that space to plant in, you always have to rake it smooth. But I needed to make sure that I'd be able to tack it into more solid soil. This is way too fluffy. I mean, the little landscape staples will help me keep the lines in place where I plant the seeds, but the whole line itself, I needed it to be tacked down more solidly. So on the end of this row, I've got my Jack B. Little right there. I'll tuck one more in right here. And there's plenty of space before we ever drive. And I made sure to put the Atlantic Giant on the very end, just in case that vine is way bigger than the others. Let me show you how I'm going to do each individual one of these. So I've got my tag, which will stick in the ground right there. We've got our water line right here, and I'm just going to kind of make a well in the soil just so that I know wherever I put my emitters, that water is going to go down and settle next to the seed. So I've got my hole, well, this is kind of hole punch for the tubing. I'm going to pop a couple holes in. And then I've got 2 gallon per hour emitters. We'll pop right in the line. I'm going to use 2 landscape staples, one on either side, and it is fluffy, but hopefully it helps it stay in place a little bit. I've got my seeds here. Now these are a couple years old, so I'm going to put more seeds than needed in this hill. And Benjamin's going to do that for us.
So put that much?
Put them right in here, bud. Just kind of spread them out right here. Yeah, that's actually perfect. Good job.
Now they'll grow into a big pumpkin.
Yeah, hopefully. That's what we're hoping for. Then we're just going to cover over them with just a little bit of soil. Just like that. Then we'll water them in when we're all done. Easy peasy, huh?
Yeah.
Good job. So that's what it will look like everywhere we plant a new set of seeds. Here we go. Guys, they are in, and I did just hand water them because the water has already run out here today for everything else. But after today, the water system will just pick up and take off, and we'll just keep the area semi-weeded just around the vines until they start to take off, and then they'll start to suppress weeds in here. And we're not even worried about, you know, the pasture grass and other things that have popped up around the area. It's just a freeing spot. So that is 21 hills of pumpkins and squash all together. I think it's going to be great. I'm really excited about it. So let's head to the cut flower garden next and get the foxglove in. All right, the last little section to plant up out here in the cut flower garden. I thought I was going to fill it up with celosia the other day and ended up not having quite enough to stretch. So I've got right from where the celosia ends right to where our delphiniums begin. That's where the cafe cream foxglove are going to go. I didn't intend on actually planting these out here in the cut flower garden. I only wanted to plant things that would most likely flower the first year so that we always have color going in here. I was going to tuck them into the flower beds, But this is a really unique looking foxglove, and I think it's one I'm going to really like to cut from in particular. And usually I don't like to cut a whole lot of blooms from out of the flower beds, not in mass anyway, because you know, we plant things in flower beds to look a specific way, and if we cut all those flowers out, then you miss it. So anyway, I think this will be really nice to have these out here, and it's going to be easy planting because I already dug the holes the other day when I thought I would have enough celosia to stretch. So let's just get these in the ground. See what the root systems look like. Yes, looking good. There they are tucked in. So at this point, other than some gaps in the rose garden, which we will fill gradually as we find roses we like, and minus these spots in the dahlia patch where we'll have to plant some where others didn't come back up, we're officially full, other than those two things in this space. That's so exciting to me. Now let's go find some spots for these thyme plants. I think I'm gonna tuck some of it back here because one, we have a drip tube that's available, which that's always handy when you don't have to run extra water, but we're really starting to fill this area back in and I'm loving it. I love these Mr. Mustard spireas so much. I think they have the most beautiful color and structure. They're so, so pretty. And I love this Montana moss juniper. This one I think grows 2 by 5, so it's not gonna get like enormous, but it's just a really beautiful evergreen accent. And then of course we've got a black lace elderberry, which will fill in this space beautifully, but I kind of thought, you know, maybe we can tuck some of those right in the front here. Maybe the pink chintz gets a lighter pink, and we've got it next to, there's some Monarda, which is a darker pink. That's why I'm not doing the dark pink one back here. So we'll have a little bit of variation in color. And then this is it's like cottontail yarrow. I can't remember, but it looks like baby's breath. And a whole bunch of other things back here. The Baptisia is starting to bloom finally. These were some of the hardest holes that I had to dig on our property, actually. The auger, I swear it was smoking when I was planting these, and so I kind of thought, oh, I don't know if they're gonna love it here, but they do. They look beautiful. So this one right here, the pink chintz, it's actually an evergreen thyme, hardy to zone 5. We're zone 6, so 1 to 3 inches tall, 1 foot wide, and then over time it kind of slowly spreads itself out. But I think it'll be a really nice, just low growing accent right along this lane. Okay, so I initially did it in a swoop, and then I decided to kind of crunch it a little bit more together, and then eventually I'll either divide those and move some over, or I'll pick up maybe like 5, 6, 7 more of these, and at some point, I don't think the garden center has them at this moment, but at some point along the line, maybe we can fill up the rest of this and just have this be a solid mat of that thyme. I think it'll look really nice. Okay, one left. Oh yeah, I think that these will be beautiful over here, because you know we're sticking with pinks, purples, chartreuse green, a little bit of white. I think this is going to be gorgeous. I added a little bit of a juga last year, and I think that that looks so, so pretty. Maybe we tuck those in right in here by the ladies' mantle. We'll have to keep in mind that I do have a rose here. This is a, can't remember, is it Alnwick rose maybe? And then there's a Caryopteris. So I'll do a little patch of these, leaving space to plant something a little bit taller about where these tulips are. I'm at that point right now where I cannot wait to cut the bulb foliage back. You know, they're so pretty in the spring and it's worth having them, but boy, waiting for the leaves to die back, because it can kind of tend to make everything look a little bit messy. One, when you haven't had time to deadhead your bulbs yet, which is where we're at, and then you have to wait several weeks for the leaves to yellow and die back. And once that's done, this area will just feel so much more tidy to me. When I stand back like this, I don't really notice it quite as much. And you know, those best purple tulips over there still have some color. They look so good. But when you get up close on them, whew, you can see the ones that we haven't deadheaded yet. And then all of that will go away and the perennials can kind of be the stars of the show after that. So I'm kind of excited for the tulips to not be there to distract from everything else going on. But you gotta have that spring color. Okay, 7 holes, here we go. Oh, I love that you can see that little pop of pink right there. Perfect, because nothing else at the moment's blooming pink in this area. And they may bloom a little bit later, depending on, you know, the year. And these were in containers, and sometimes they do weird things when they're in containers and bloom at random times. But usually it's sometime in the summer that you'll see these beautiful flowers, and this will form a nice little mat. So the nutmeg, so again, this is a nutmeg creeping thyme, and this one is also a zone 5 and evergreen. And it grows about 1 inch tall. There's already a honeybee on it. You see that? Pollinators love the flowers. Oh, that's so much fun. It grows about 1 inch tall and 12 inches wide, but it will root in and spread a bit further than that over time, but it's not an aggressive grower. It won't be a super fast, you know, thing to fill in and like try to take over or anything like that. But I think it's going to be a beautiful low accent plant right here. It's fun to see the different layers starting to take shape in this space. Oh, I love it. And it got warm today. It feels really good sitting here in the shade and there's a light breeze. Oh, I forget how hot it gets working out in that powder soil. It feels good to be out there gardening, and I have like really positive memories associated with that, because you know, the first year we did the cut flower garden, that's all it was puffy soil. We didn't do any top dressing with anything, no mulch, nothing. It was just powder soil all summer long, but it somehow it absorbs the heat and it bakes your feet from underneath. I mean, it's just hot. It's hot and powdery and dry. The top is dry, but if you dig down, there's actually quite a bit of moisture out there. It doesn't look like it, but there is. It also felt really good to finish up with the cut flower garden for the most part and get the thyme in the ground, because as you know, I've had those for almost probably 2 months at this point. And I still have a lot of annual containers to do. All of our window boxes, a bunch of containers that the tulips are just now done. So we can remove those and start filling them with beautiful things. So I'm gonna start chipping away at those types of projects. I love it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.